Welcome to Screen Riot. This commissioned review is Hancock, an action superhero film from 2008. This episode will contain major spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, it's available to stream on Hulu or rent on Apple TV+. Go check it out and come back to the podcast because this is Screen Riot. Welcome to Screen Riot, the podcast where we review a movie chosen entirely by fate. I'm one of your hosts, Justin, and alongside me are my co-hosts, Eddie, Kyle, and John. And this is a special episode where we will be reviewing a commission from one of our listeners. If you'd like to commission your own review from us, just head over to screenriot.net, click on support, and you can learn more about how you can do so. With that being said, this commission comes from Brian C. of Lakeland, Florida, and his commissioned movie is 2008's Hancock, starring Will Smith, Charlize Theron, and Jason Bateman. So Brian wrote in a little ditty here. He said, "You guys rock, except Eddie."
Ouch.
It's fine. I can take it.
Got some hate mail going on here.
Yeah, it's a hateful movie. Go ahead.
So he continues. He says, "It may not be the best movie, but it's not your typical superhero. Enjoy."
No, that's true. It's not your typical superhero because you can't enjoy. But hey,
geez.
Shout out to Brian C.
Already.
Shots fired.
Yeah, our first one. That's how they're going to roll. Okay.
Pretty much.
But
So-
not out of your junk. Anyway.
So thank you very much for your commission, Brian, and I'm sure Kyle, John, and myself all agree we all rock, except Eddie.
Yes.
So, Hancock, what's it about? It's a superhero whose ill-considered behavior regularly causes damage into the tune of millions. He changes when the person he saves one day helps him improve his public image. So the film is 1 hour, 32 minutes long. It's rated PG-13, and it was directed by actor, writer, director Peter Berg. If you're not familiar with Peter Berg, he's directed a few things, like 1998's Very Bad Thing, or Very Bad Things, I should say. 2003, The Rundown, Friday Night Lights, Lone Survivor. He did the Ballers pilot episode. He directed that, actually.
Okay.
It's kind of
nice.
interesting.
Yeah, so far you've named two things that I can somewhat stand. Almost everything else, I'm like, that's awful. That's horrible. God, that was really bad.
Yeah. Patriots Day.
Patriots. Collateral was okay. Patriots
Yeah.
Day was good, within reason. I mean,
I never saw it, so
it's a horrific time in American history, and it's really kind of hard to fuck it up. And I think he did an okay job at it. You know, but I'm not gonna like praise it.
Yep. So this obviously was not a Oscar nomination, but the best picture of that year was Slumdog Millionaire.
Oh, yeah.
Take you guys back to 2008
Slumdog
or 2009,
Millionaire
I should say.
hard to watch.
Oh, I enjoy
Why?
Slumdog.
The blinding scene.
Oh, yeah.
That was
yeah.
really hard, really hard to watch, man. That
I thought you were just talking about as a whole. Like,
no,
it was hard to watch. Like,
the movie was okay, but that scene
I
in
thought it was
particular
really good.
Yeah, I really
Man.
like it.
hurt me.
So yeah, that won Best Picture, but some of the other nominees up that year was that's a new word I'm creating. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Frost Nixon, which I really enjoy, Milk, and The Reader.
Never heard
of The Reader.
No. And that was up for Best Picture?
That was a superhero movie, too. He reads a lot.
Unless I typoed that.
No, I think it's isn't that the one with what's her name? The woman, the old woman. Damn it, what's her name?
The Reader!
That was the comedy portion of the show.
I think it's
Yeah.
I missed it. I think it's Kate Winslet is in it, I believe. I'm looking. Hold on, real fast.
I do like the superhero aspect of The Reader.
Yeah.
That's a
he
pretty...
reads giant books in a single sitting.
Yeah, it's Kate Winslet, Ralph Fiennes. I don't know. It's a period piece from like the 1950s. Yeah, it was forgettable. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that great.
Yeah, I've never even heard of it.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get started with this.
Yeah.
So Hancock opens up with a high-speed police chase, and Hancock is played by Will Smith, obviously. He's drunkenly asleep on a bench. He grabs a bottle of booze, and he flies into the police chase, right? That little kid, like, we've seen him in a bunch of stuff, but I can never remember his name.
Oh, isn't he the younger brother from Modern Family? Not
No,
Modern Family. Not
the
Modern
middle.
Family.
The middle.
Yeah.
I think he looks like he's related to the banjo kid from Deliverance.
Oh, he does.
might be.
Right? Super pointy face. Looks
Yeah.
like he's born of incest. Yeah, definitely that little kid.
Asshole.
You. Anyway, go ahead.
So just right off the bat, this is the first. I'm going to say this is the first time I've ever seen this movie.
Wow.
No, it's not one of your favorite films.
No,
It's not in your top
Okay.
10,
no.
20.
I absolutely hated this opening.
Yeah.
Why?
The camera work alone.
There's a lot of fast paced zooming in and zooming out type thing.
Tim Berg loves his close-ups.
Oh yeah,
Peter Berg,
Peterberg. Yeah,
Peterberg.
not Tim Burton.
Yeah. Well,
Peter Berg.
thinking the other movie that we're
Tim
doing.
Berg.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. Peter Berg. He loves his extreme close-ups, and it was just way too shaky for me. I
it's
didn't
like
think the CGI was all that great.
It's like you
either.
were flying, man.
Okay, so let me say this though with the CGI. The CGI for the first hour at least is livable. Once you hit an hour and Charlize Theron starts with the tornadoes and shit,
Yeah.
it's unlivable after that point. Like it's just god awful after that point. The opening sequence, I'm kind of with you on it, but at least it's you can at least watch it and not want to vomit.
Yeah.
The tornado scene, I
thought the opening scene was hilarious when he actually
Crashed through everything.
got into the vehicle, and he's just sitting in the back seat, and he's like, "All right, guys, just give up. Like, come on, I'm tired,
Yeah.
I'm drunk, and I just want to go home and go back to sleep. So just give yourselves up." And then he just gets obliterated by bullets, and he's just taking it all. And his glasses, I like how his glasses get all bullet
shot
holed
up.
up. Shot up.
Yeah.
That's something I've always hated about. I'm not a big superhero fan. The three of you guys know that.
Yep.
Newsflash.
Yeah, but for the audience, I'm not a big superhero fan. That's something I've always not liked about superhero movies is they get riddled with bullets and junk. The suit, fine. Like, the suit isn't superhero. It's
Yeah.
the person.
Well, yeah.
So I did like that they said, okay, oh, well, we're going to put some bullet holes into his sunglasses, right, and all. But
yeah.
Then you'd love Deadpool, by the way. Whole reason he's wearing a red suit is because he bleeds consistently. He starts out in a white pair of sweats and ends up like looking down. He's blood stained to hell and back, and he's like, "Got to do red."
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I will say I did like. And full disclosure here, up until about the hour mark,
Yes.
I don't hate the movie.
Oh yeah,
I don't. I mean,
I was literally laughing my ass off throughout the whole first half of the movie
Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean,
because
like,
it was funny, it was comedic.
I'm with you again on the shakiness of a couple of the scenes, etc. I do agree it gets a little bit off-putting. But I do. I mean, I think I like the anti-hero aspect that they tried to do with Will
So
Smith.
do
I just wish they had stayed with that storyline more,
Right.
and didn't ever reveal the Charlize Theron connection ever.
Yeah, we'll
bury that.
get into that
Yeah.
for sure.
Just ugh.
I wish they would have gotten rid of the the love scene in his trailer. I didn't
Yeah.
like that. I didn't like that at all. I
Oh,
think
with the
it
girl?
was- yeah.
Oh, it was stupid. I agree with you.
It was dumb. I didn't think it needed to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, Hancock meets a woman at a bar, which we're talking about, right? And he takes her back to his trailer where they have sex.
For about 4 seconds.
Yeah, and Hancock has an explosive orgasm, basically.
His ejaculate is like bullets, Justin.
Fired
Right.
3 shots.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's not a move I haven't seen since I was about 14. So,
Waka waka.
I was told not to make comments about this, so I'm not going to, Justin. I'm just going to say that I agree with John. It does seem gratuitous.
Yes.
I would say so.
Yeah.
It doesn't add anything
Doesn't
to the movie.
fit.
Well,
No.
I'm just confused. Like okay, that's in here, and the
Yeah.
obvious violence and all that stuff. How did this get a PG-13?
So-
with that,
It's Will Smith.
so what happened,
I don't
as far as I can tell, is so this script was actually written back in 1996.
Wow.
Not joking.
That makes sense.
It was written. I can't remember the guy's name, but 1996 is when he wrote it. It was shopped around for about a decade,
Okay.
and finally Sony Pictures picked it up, and they hired Vince Gilligan of Breaking Bad fame, the creator and writer of Breaking Bad, to rewrite it to be PG-13 because the original script was way more darker.
Oh.
See,
It was actually like a higher up R rating. Like apparently Will Smith was the villain of the whole thing.
Oh God, I want to see that movie.
And apparently like he was sexually frustrated because he kept killing women whenever he had sex with them.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, now it turns into a serial killer.
Well, yeah, it's like a darker
Yeah.
movie.
you know what it is? The Boys.
Yeah, that's
Maybe.
a good call.
Yeah, no,
that's a good
basically Amazon was like, "Hey, let's take this this riddled Hancock script and make it into a series."
That's pretty funny, actually.
So what happened is he tried to write it down to what would be considered a PG-13.
Okay.
The full scene of the trailer sex scene, it was in there and shot. When they submitted it for consideration for the MPAA, that they still gave it an R.
Wow.
Because of that scene. So they had to cut that scene down a little bit, and another scene that we're going to talk about with the prisoner head up the butt.
Oh, nice.
They had to cut that down a little bit too, to get to that PG-13 rating.
So that explains why she actually left the trailer.
Well, it explains why it's all...
I'm like, why did you hang out the... Well, why did you run out the bathroom? That doesn't make a lick of sense.
Yeah. I mean, it explains why everything is so kind of... I don't know. It just feels odd, disjointed. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Speaking about the head of the kind of jump into that for just a split second, but there's pieces like that are so comedic and so over the top that I'm like, wait, is this a comedy? Is it a drama? Is it? Because I wish it was. To be honest with you, this dark story of Hancock actually kind of interests me because I could see where that would make much more sense. Like keep him broody and pissed off and all this kind of stuff. And him trying to sort of deal with the emotions of being the superhero he doesn't really want to be.
Right.
I'm
Reluctant,
down. Yeah, I'm down. But this like goofy, good job.
Yeah.
Good job. Over and over again. And the head up the ass scene, which was funny. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've seen this movie, by the way. You've said it was your first time. I've seen this movie like at least half a dozen times. I don't fucking like it. I don't like it. And I keep having to watch this stupid thing. And all I can say is that scenes like that, you laugh. You have to laugh. It's funny as shit. The guy says, get out of my way or I'm shoving his head up your ass and his head's going up your, etc. And then he does it. He follows through. It's funny.
Right.
And
but it doesn't fit with the rest of the movie.
I know.
What's strange is it's only action, drama, and fantasy on IMDb.
Should be horror.
No comedy listing here.
Should be horror. I mean, seriously, that guy saw the inside of that other guy's rectum. That's a fucking horror show right there.
Well, the actors, we see them a little bit later, and
they're
they
scarred.
Look visibly scarred from that.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of that scene a little bit later with those same two actors, the guy the guy with the hook hand, who he cuts his hand off,
right?
I fucking hate that character. I hate that character. He seems to think he's in a comedy. Right? Again, there's certain people who seem to be... I'm firmly convinced the director talked to different characters, different actors, and told them they were in different types of movies. Because if you think about it, Charlize Theron seems to think she's in a drama. She's not funny at all. There's no moment where she's cracking a joke. She's deadpan the entire movie, right? Mm-hmm. Everything that happens between her and Hancock is serious as shit. Then you've got old hook hand Charlie, apparently, or Red, or whatever the hell his name is. He keeps cracking one-liners, and his whole gang gets ripped out of the bank, and he's like, "Where'd they go? Where the fuck do you think they went? They disappeared into thin air." No, of course they didn't. There was a superhero outside. He's ripping people out of the bank left and right and center, and you're walking. What's going on? You're a fucking idiot. That's what's going on, right? He thinks he's in a comedy. A slapstick comedy at that, right? Then you got Jason Bateman trying to save the world with the all heart symbol. He believes he's in, I don't know, a Hallmark movie, I think.
Jason Bateman
film. Jason Bateman film.
A fantasy film.
I will say, though, Jason Bateman's Bad Words is fucking hilarious. That's a funny Jason Bateman movie. Yes, but anyway. And Teen Wolf 2 is pretty classic as well. Anyhow, so I'm firmly rooted in all these people were in different movies, but somehow they all ended up in the same shit film called Hancock.
Right. Well, speaking of Jason Bateman, in the story we meet Ray, who played by Jason Bateman. He is a public relations consultant. He's stuck on a train track, and Hancock saves him, but he causes a lot of collateral damage to the train and bystanders' cars. And that's kind of when we, as an audience, we start to see that the world does not like Hancock. Right. Basically, right?
Okay, I will say that as a positive to Hancock, I like how they... I like how they use the superhero physics mixed in with real world physics. So, for instance, he can stop the moving train from hitting the car, right?
Right.
Excellent. Superhero move, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the real world physics still apply, and he actually causes a huge derailment.
Oh,
because none of the other cars
Exactly.
stop.
That's
I kind of
right.
like that. I'm like, I can kind of appreciate this. Same thing with the girl who goes back to the trailer. I think the scene is completely useless, doesn't need to be in the movie. However, I like that in the real world, if there was this super powerful guy who you've seen flying and everything else, he would have groupies galore.
Right.
They'd all want to
Exactly.
they'd all want to see the supercock. They'd all want to ride it and see how long they
No,
can
the movie's
stay
called
on.
Hancock.
Hancock.
My fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a different film.
You're right. It's slightly better. But they'd all want to see, whether or not they could stay on for 8 seconds, quote unquote. I mean, it's that's realistic. Again, I appreciate this sort of pulling. It's the same reason I like the Deadpool movie, though. I like Deadpool because I like that play with the reality, with reality versus the superhero world. I like that.
So to thank Hancock for saving him, he invites him to dinner. There we meet Ray's son, Aaron, and his wife, Mary, played by Charlize Theron. And she keeps looking at Hancock really weirdly. I remember when I was watching this for the first time, I'm like, okay, there's some history behind these two.
Yeah.
And they keep showing it over and over. And I even said aloud, I was like, okay, we get it. There's a rift between them for something.
Well, there's some sexual tension going on here somewhere.
Right.
Because it's like when she first laid on his eyes on him, as an audience member, that's the first time we see that.
Right.
And we're thinking, okay, well, does she think that he's attractive? Type thing, or
See, I
but
thought,
they keep going back to it over and over.
I thought she was scared of him.
well, exactly. I thought that she maybe thought he was bad for her husband. She's like, he's an asshole. What are you doing, Ray?
Oh,
Right.
I saw a different look.
See.
So did I. I immediately thought, oh, okay, they were dating at some point. That was
they're a thing.
My initial thought.
Then you weren't surprised when she threw his ass through a wall.
No, I thought that I honestly thought that Charlize there. How do you say her last name?
Charlize Theron?
Yeah, her, that lady.
Mary.
Mary. I only thought that Mary was going to end up being a bad person.
That's what I thought too.
She was going to end up being the villain. It was like, oh crap,
Yeah.
I'm caught now. I don't need him hanging around.
Right.
I gotcha.
So Ray offers to change Hancock's image. Hancock thinks about it and then returns the next day. So he goes to see him, and he meets Michelle, the bully.
Oh yeah,
Michelle,
Michelle.
the boy who looks like a girl who has a girl's name.
Yeah,
but is
the French
actually a
kid
boy.
who is bullying Aaron. And then basically he calls Hancock an asshole a few times, and I guess that is his trigger word.
One too many times.
Yeah, one too many times. And then he throws him into orbit or something.
which is
Yeah.
hilarious.
He Bezos'd him.
Again, it is funny.
And see, that's what pisses me off is this is not listed as a comedy.
Because it's not really funny. If you think about it, it's child abuse.
Yeah,
See, that wasn't funny. Throwing him wasn't funny to me.
Yeah.
It
What
was
was
for
funny to me was Jason Bateman going, "No,
can't do that.
No, this is not good. You can't do
Yeah.
stuff like
In
that."
typical
That's
Jason
what I'm
Bateman
talking
style.
about.
Yeah.
That's
No.
true.
That's what made it funny.
What's
to
his
me.
family gonna say?
No,
Yeah,
no.
what-
This is bad. This is bad.
I liked him later on being like, "What happened to the road?" He was like, "That was like that when I got here."
Oh,
I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm
live
like,
here.
I've
I
lived
know-
here for 16 years or
Yeah.
whatever he said. Yeah.
I know. It's just like I said. It's kind of good up until that hour mark. It's okay, right? He goes to jail. It's okay,
Yeah.
right?
Well, so
yeah.
we see the news. There's a warrant out for his arrest, for Hancock's arrest, and Ray has the bright idea that this is going to be good for him because he can go into jail, serve his time, do the PR thing, and then wait for basically the crime in the city to rise, and then basically everybody come crawling back and need him, which is a good plan.
Yeah.
I think that should
That's
work.
a good PR move.
Yeah,
Yeah.
while he's in there, he's supposed to do some anger management and some other shit.
Yeah,
the
some
anger
alcohol abuse.
the anger management meetings are okay.
Pass.
I kind of like those because it shows he's an asshole. And then they start to kind of be like, okay, he's going to open up, and they show us one little scene where he like starts to open up, and then we never come back to this plot line. We
Right.
never come back to the subplot of him opening up at the AA meetings. Why not?
It would have been interesting to see his introspective of what he thinks about the whole.
How great, right?
Reluctant
Instead, we have a
superhero.
two-dimensional asshole superhero for most of the movie.
Yeah.
Completely two-dimensional. We never know his real feelings on shit other than he's pissed off.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. And the other thing, like, when he first gets into prison, he gets surrounded by all the prisoners.
Yeah.
And my immediate thought was, these guys are idiots. Why would you...
Yeah,
maybe
why
they
would
think
you
that there's
surround this
safety in
guy?
numbers, but
No.
Well, I mean,
it's not like this dude's fighting toddlers. It's...
I mean, he was literally shot with like 1,000 bullets.
Yeah.
And nothing happened to him. So what do you think a punch is going to do?
Yeah, what are they going to do?
But it sets up the whole scene where he can shove one man's head up another man's ass.
Yeah, so that happens. He basically, I have in my notes, this guy just got human centipeded.
Yeah, for and apparently, again, I think you're right. I think for no reason. Anybody who takes 2 seconds is going to go, this isn't a good idea. Like, he did put most of us in here because he can fly and do things like
Super
lift cars.
strength.
You know what?
We
We're
can
good.
take him.
We're good, Hancock. No,
take him.
we're solid. I'm gonna go to my cell. I did like the scene with the basketball, where the basketball he messes up and the basketball ends up outside the prison.
Oh yeah.
And then he jumps out and just you kind of have this like moment where he's trying to decide, should I go back? Should I just leave?
Right.
And then he decides to go back again. Same thing with the AA meeting. I think it starts to show change in him, etc. But we never see any growth from that.
Now, I will say, going back to the AA meeting, the big guy. Did you notice who that was? The big guy with the
It's
curly
Booger.
hair.
It's Booger from Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, it
No,
was.
Ogre.
Wasn't it?
Ogre.
That's Ogre.
My
Ogre
fault, not
from Revenge
Booger.
of the Nerds.
Yeah, not
Oh.
Booger. My fault. Ogre.
Yeah, it's Ogre. He was the
Alpha
the
Beta.
Alpha Beta guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Nerds.
I thought he
Yeah,
looked
that guy.
familiar.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, that's Ogre.
Ogre. Yeah.
When I first saw him, I thought he was Henry Rollins
No,
for a second.
no.
No,
Henry
I
Rollins
thought
is-
the leader was Henry Rollins.
Yeah, that's who I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the really big
Right.
guy with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
curly
yeah.
hair. Yeah, that's
Sorry.
Ogre.
Yeah, we're just talking about two different people.
Yeah.
And Henry Rollins is much better looking. I'm not trying to
Well, we
grade
saw
men
him.
here,
We
but-
saw him from a distance.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And it was
fair
quick.
enough.
And
Yeah.
then once the camera zoomed in, we're like, oh no, that's not handsome Henry Rollins.
Yeah, exactly. Handsome Henry Rollins.
That's his nickname.
So that's what he goes by too.
Handsome Henry.
So after about 5 days in prison, crime rate soars 30%, and Ray decides to give Hancock his superhero uniform. So then a few days later, the police chief releases Hancock because there's a bank robbery in progress.
And he has the worst superhero landing ever.
Yeah, the most awkward because he's not used to.
Well, he's trying to become PR
Yeah.
man
I
and
know,
very
I know.
soft landings. Don't break the street.
It just looked very much like I'm on wires and they're telling me to land softly.
No, I mean,
No, that was all CGI.
Yeah,
That's
like
true,
Kyle,
too.
like
Yeah.
Kyle was saying, I took it as
Yeah,
he's
he's trying
trying
to
to not land as hard because and all that stuff. Now this is the first time I've laughed while watching this movie. Is when the female cop is pinned down behind.
Do I have permission to touch
Yes.
your body?
Yes.
It's
That made
not
me laugh.
sexual.
I was like, oh, okay, the PC joke is pretty funny.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
then he lifts her up and he moves her with the car blocking the way, and I thought that was a pretty good scene.
It's not sexual, though you are a very attractive woman.
Which bullets
Jesus.
will go through that car.
Oh, easily. That was
Yeah.
another very. I listen. It's a. It's
Almost
a,
looked like a 50 cal machine gun that they were shooting. It's like, okay, this car is gonna block everything. Cool.
It's a Will Smith movie.
Oh, I know.
Where he's a superhero. I wasn't going to judge it too harshly based on that.
Well,
trust
even
me.
the lead SWAT guy or whatever says to Hancock, "Hey, they got something heavy in there. It might be 50 cal or more,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something like
yeah,
that." But,
which would easily pass right through that body, but it doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
And the building behind it.
yeah.
Parts.
So as we were talking about the lead bad guy, his name is Red. He has all the hostages rigged with explosives, and he's holding a dead man's switch. So if he were to die or Hancock kills him or whatever, he would release a switch, and then the bombs would go boom.
Yep.
But Hancock slices his hand off
With a lampshade.
with a lampshade,
Yeah.
that he sharpened with his fingernail or whatever. And then we see him in the next scene holding the man's hand, holding the
Yeah.
switch.
Yeah.
which was kind of comedic.
Again, I
Yeah.
mean, there's some funny parts. I just up until from here again. If we jump forward just a little bit, we get to the big reveal with Charlize Theron, and it's I don't know the backstory that they give, etc. What did you guys think of the backstory? That they knew each other, that apparently they're angels or demons or angels or gods or something, and they always come in pairs, but they're never supposed to be together. And the more that they're together, they die.
Well, real quick, right before that, though, they
Yeah.
go out to a dinner.
restaurant. Yeah, I
they go
forgot the
for the
restaurant.
congratulatory dinner thing,
Yeah.
where we learn a little bit more about his backstory, what he thinks is
Yeah,
his
he
backstory.
woke up and he had a fracture.
Yeah,
skull
he
fracture.
was in the hospital from a mugging,
Yes.
and he had a skull fracture and healed, and then he said that he kind of just woke up with superhuman powers.
Yeah.
Basically. But then the next scene, he goes to meet them at the Ray and Mary's house, and he
But he
Tucks
calls
it.
that,
Jason Bateman's drunk, and
he tucks him in.
Yeah, he tucks him in or whatever, and then he goes downstairs. He talks to Mary for a little bit, and she notices that he has a bruise on his hand. And I guess that's hey, you're turning human.
Well, he basically calls out Charlize Theron for the looks at this point.
Oh yeah.
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 He's like, yeah, I've seen you eye me. Let's try something.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And she gives him a kiss, or he gives her a kiss, I should say. They kiss.
They
Yes.
reluctantly
Let's say it that way.
kiss, yeah.
And then she throws his ass through a wall.
Yeah, and see, at that point, I thought that okay, cool, we have a villain, like
Yep.
a legit villain. This is cool because this is
Now they're going to fight.
now we have something to go for, to protect the city, and Hancock, with his positive PR, he's gonna save the city and all that kind of stuff. No,
Well, you're not completely wrong, though. See, to me, here's where it gets weird.
She's a villain of his heart.
You're not wrong either, John. But, like, whenever they start fighting in the city and all those tornadoes and shit pop up,
yeah,
I kind of wish they had gone the yin-yang, she's the villain, he's
Right.
the superhero, and by the way, oh, surprise, the asshole guy is actually really the superhero, right? But because if you think about it, all those tornadoes, all those storms and stuff popped up because she was pissed off with him, right? Complete disregard for her son and husband.
right.
Complete disregard. Like, that tornado could have easily just taken out her little kid's school. He gets swept away in a tornado. She'd be none the wiser.
Yeah,
That, to me, is a supervillain move, right? This is the same as,
Well, and
like,
all the damage that they do to buildings
oh,
and
tons.
all that
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
tons. Like,
She almost took out her husband.
Yeah, she almost killed her husband. She doesn't care. She's obviously, to me, they were set up for her to be a villain. And they
And
just
it just
didn't
never
follow
followed
through.
through.
They didn't
Yeah.
follow through. There's so much of this movie that feels unfinished because they went a different way. And I'm going, like many movies we've talked about now,
Yeah.
I'm going back to, it's very possible that the original script was 10 times better than what this little piece of shit they
Yeah, the
squirted
darker
out
R
is.
version
Yeah.
could have been, yeah.
Because that would have been, I'm kind of interested in that now. Like, what if she was actually a supervillain and, yeah, I got with this guy and he's a human and he's got this kid. The kid's okay enough, but let's be honest. We're gods, Hancock.
right.
Who really cares about these ants? Fucking tornadoes and blows everyone away. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Charlize Theron is kind of a badass and
Yeah.
I'm slightly turned on.
This shit just got real.
Yeah, so after she throws him through the wall, we kind of fast forward to the next morning, and there's that giant hole in the wall. Jason Bateman wakes up, sees it, and then we have probably my least favorite scene in the entire movie is the whole slapstick of...
Oh yeah, I sneezed.
well, after that, the whole him trying to test her superhero
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Oh, hitting her with a...
Yeah, like
Yeah.
in the pots and the pans, and yeah,
I can do this shit all day. Really?
yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
we don't have time for that.
yeah. Welcome to Earth. God, yeah, I that threw me out of. I almost wanted to stop watching the movie there.
But you can't.
I know, but I can't.
It's the punishment that keeps on giving.
I'm gonna have to say,
I welcome it.
I have to say that I up until we had to watch this, I had never watched past Will Smith bringing Jason Bateman home.
Oh, okay.
I shut it off right there.
So you
Interesting.
actually saved yourself from the worst part of the movie then. Yeah, okay.
It's like, yeah, I'm not gonna like this, but it did get better.
Yeah.
To me,
Really? You think it got
a little
better?
bit. It went up a notch in my book.
Wow.
So basically, the two they decide to meet up so that they can talk. So Mary meets up with Hancock, and we learn that they're the last two superheroes around Earth, and that they have been married for over 3,000 years.
Which makes no sense, by the way.
Why?
Why?
Well, okay, unless they're, and which is never explained, let's be clear, but unless their term marriage means something different than our term marriage, it doesn't make sense. If they're married, like we consider traditional marriage, they can't ever be together because the minute they're together, they become human.
Right.
Well,
Right?
no. What it is they have a choice to turn it off and actually die and actually become immortal. Because if you live for 3,000 years, you've done
Yeah.
everything. And
Yeah.
so why not just get back together,
Yeah.
grow old, and die, and just end the life?
Totally. But
That's their out.
I'm totally with
Okay.
you. My point is that she's saying they're married. So unless their term marriage means something different from our term marriage, they haven't been married because if they've been together for 3,000 years, they would have died already.
Well, yeah.
Well,
Well,
no,
they-
it's their physical attraction to them that makes them mortal, right? It's just not the concept, the abstract concept
No,
of marriage.
it's them being anywhere near each other. They
Right.
can't be in the same zip code, basically.
right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I mean. It's the physical
So that's-
location of them.
That's my point.
Yeah, they're married.
But you can be married and
they're
separated.
They're hitched to the hip, or.
I mean, they've lived in L.A. for
How long?
how long? And she's, well, probably 30 years or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's been fine.
Yeah.
Until he knows.
Until they actually got
Until
together.
they actually get together. Yeah.
So that's where I'm confused about the rules of this, because again, to me, if I'm saying let's say me and John are married, right? In my own little fantasy Hancock here.
Oh boy.
Supercock, the sequel. Anyway, the term marriage means that we are together,
right.
that we're traveling through the world together. But if they do that, they would have died already. So in her explanation of well, that's my husband, we're married, etc. Well, it's like, okay, then why haven't you guys already died?
Well, remember she said, no matter what I do, he always finds me.
Yes.
So it's like she tries to stay away from him because she does care about him. She's trying to keep him alive.
They're soulmates, so they attract each other.
And they were together when they got attacked to watch Frankenstein.
Yes.
And they were actually together.
So they were married at that
they were
point.
immortal.
Yeah, they were immortal.
Yes.
And so when he got the shit beat out of him,
yes,
and almost died, she took him to the hospital, or they took him to the hospital, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she got as far away as possible because
to save his life.
It was the same thing we see him do at the end.
Yeah.
Right.
To save her life.
I just think the use of soulmates would have made more sense rather than saying he's my husband and all this other shit. Just be like, we were together a long time.
I think
or
that's
whatever.
implied.
It's implied, but it's weird because it sets up this whole like, well, he's my husband, but so is he situation, and it's like, but why? You guys weren't really, you guys really
Utah?
aren't together. That's where the movie should have been based. I want to talk about a dark film. Anyway, so it just seems to set up the system, quote unquote, that doesn't really it doesn't really equate to what their system actually is in my mind. That's all it is.
Well, after we learned that they've been married for 3,000 years, according to the film.
Yep.
And Eddie's not buying it.
Nope.
Whatever.
They get into a super... Yeah.
One thing I do want to mention here. To me, there's a quasi-origin story.
Yes.
But there's not an origin story.
Yeah, you're right.
That's
yeah.
true.
And that's one of the things. That's one of, I think, the one of the missed opportunities in the film, because we don't know. Well, what do you mean you don't know? You're obviously there. What do you mean you don't know where you came from? You had to know where you come from. You just didn't pop into existence.
Well, you would hope Charlize Theron would know. Obviously, Will Smith's not
well,
gonna
obviously
know,
he's got amnesia,
but you're hoping for something from her. And
exactly.
I think they do it kind of on purpose, and I'm going to give you a really shitty explanation for why. I think they do it to stay, what's the word? Polytheistic. So basically, it could be the Christian God. It could be a Hindu God. They could be aliens. It could be
Greek.
It could be anything, right? We were either made or we were born. It doesn't really fucking matter. That's basically, she says that. She's like, I don't know if we were made or born or whatever, but it doesn't really matter. Here we are.
Yeah,
but she does know that they were made in pairs.
But exactly, she knows that we come out in pairs, which I think is interesting. It's
Adam and Eve.
It's Highlander.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
There can be only one apparently, and it's going to be Charlize Theron.
Yeah, or Picard.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of theories out there that they're Egyptian gods, that they're Greek gods.
Well, the Egyptian gods thing would make sense, but that's even going to be older than what they're
3,000
claiming.
years.
Yeah, so
well, that's just them two, but they could be.
You're right.
Lineage.
Yeah.
But
yeah, see, I think I don't know. I don't know what I would have liked to have seen. I kind of like this dark script that you keep talking about, but at the same time, I almost think like a flashback would have been kind of cool. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
See them through different ages
or something. I don't know. I don't know if I would have hated that or if it would have been interesting. I mean, I might have hated it. It depends on how they would have done it. I do think that his whole bird, like his infatuation with the bird thing is kind of interesting because there's a lot of eagles and
that's why they think it's
Egyptians. Yeah.
And if they were like Greek gods and Roman gods or whatnot, you would think that their faces would be all over the history books.
Well, and yeah, I agree with you. Or something like
paintings,
them.
True.
Yeah, or something like them. Yeah.
So after we find all that stuff out, they have a superhero fight, and they end up at a building that Ray is giving his latest PR pitch, and he sees them together, and he's obviously devastated. And then Hancock is depressed again, and he goes to the liquor store, which is in the process of being robbed. He stops the robbery, but he's shot in the stomach in the process. So he's rushed to the hospital. Mary comes up to see him and tells him that the whole story about proximity is what makes us mortal.
Right.
Kind of story.
Which isn't true, but apparently. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's how they lose their powers and they become mortal.
What do you mean it's not true?
Well, again...
Well, where was she during this convenience store? Like We don't know.
I think what John was saying earlier is he was starting to fall in love. I think it's the love aspect and actually getting together is what makes them mortal.
I don't agree.
And I don't think it's close proximity.
It's got to be proximity, though.
Because they, like you said, they're in LA all the time.
Yeah.
And they may have been in the same grocery store or whatnot. They were actually... No, hang on.
Go ahead.
They were actually around each other, but he still had all of his powers. He wasn't getting shot up and everything until he found out that, she was actually one of his. And
Not true, though.
Yeah.
Nope. She points out the bruise before they've ever even kissed. He's already bruised on his hands.
Because she threw him through the wall.
No, it was before that.
But hold on. But what Kyle's saying makes sense because of that huge superhero fight at the end. They wouldn't have been able to do that if it was proximity based.
No shit.
But I'm pretty sure she tells him it's because we're close to each other.
She does. And
like close
but
as
is
in
it close
feeling.
emotional or close
who
physically?
the fuck knows? John, and I'll explain my piece. Go ahead.
I think it's close.
Proximity.
It's confusing as hell.
So obviously this is not explained very well.
No, it's not, because if it was emotional, then the simple fact of him jumping away from her when she's dying in the hospital would not make sense.
And that's what I was going to.
So if it was proximity, that makes sense.
Right.
But
then the superhero fight doesn't make sense.
But the proximity doesn't make sense because of the superhero fight.
Well, superhero and
so it's like it's both somehow.
But it also doesn't appear to
what's the intent?
The jumping away at the end when he's saving her life is the piece I was going to bring up, because then it comes into a question. Okay, is it time based? Like if it's is it like kryptonite?
Is there a cooldown?
Well, yeah, it's like is it kryptonite? Like if I walk 10 feet away from Superman, it takes a couple minutes and then he starts to get his power back, and then I'm like and his power wanes again.
Right.
Because then the convenience store thing doesn't make any sense. He's not standing with her at the convenience store. He's left her at the house and gone out by himself and gets shot. So it's like, why if he's not right there with her at the time? So how does jumping away at the end save her? In fact, I would argue that he's showing more love for her at the end than he has in any previous scene, because he loves her so much that he's trying to save her life by leaving her and Jason Bateman alone.
Well, he's forgetting about her. In a sense, he's basically cutting ties. He's leaving the relationship.
Yeah.
But I think that's to save them. I would say that's done out of I would say that's done out of selflessness and love.
It's not necessarily love; it's sacrifice.
But okay,
he's trying to he's sacrificing their love and he's moving on.
Sacrifice is one of the truest forms of love.
Well,
it's like people who leave their kids for adoption.
He's sacrificing by moving on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I
don't think the film does a good job of explaining.
I think that they wanted both things, and they couldn't fucking decide on which one, which is why it's all muddled.
Well, it sounds like
or maybe in the darker version it was explained.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe in the darker version she just dies. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm almost willing to bet that the darker version didn't even have this whole one of the, and I don't know you. I don't know if you're going to this next or not with the three guys in the prison.
Oh, with Red.
Red's in the
prison. A little bit later, yeah.
Yeah, coming to the hospital.
I don't know if that would even be in the film.
Yeah.
Had they not had to rewrite it, because to me it's lackluster.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. It's like, okay,
the ending, the whole hospital thing. Honestly, I couldn't even tell you what was happening right now, other than he's fighting some guys and she's dying in the other room, and he eventually gets away and saves her. I can't give you anything else.
I couldn't care less. I could not care any less.
Yeah.
About this not the anti-hero, the villain, the bad guy, Red. I was like, okay, he's seen what before this? He's seen
twice,
2 minutes, 3 minutes,
yeah,
max in the film.
Right. Yeah.
Like I don't care whether I don't know anything about him. I don't care about him. It doesn't make sense that he's even in the film.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. In my notes here, I was saying that we see the lead henchman Red from the bank robbery earlier in the hospital elevator with Jason Bateman and the son. The henchmen go to shoot Hancock, but they accidentally shoot Mary instead. And because of their proximity, she's injured. Hancock fights the bad guys. One stabs him. We can see that they share pain, apparently, because...
Yeah. Or it made to look that way anyways.
Yeah, it was made to look that way. Because she starts screaming out in agony when Hancock gets stabbed. And then the lead henchman shoots Hancock some more. Ray kills the henchman with an axe.
Okay, so real fast, the pain thing. Back to it just seemed like an afterthought. Why wasn't any of that pain felt whenever they were fighting in the streets during the tornado scene? Why wasn't any of that pain felt like whenever she threw his ass through a bunch of walls?
Yeah, through the wall. Why didn't she get hurt?
So the only thing I can come up with, and this is a mansplain moment, the only thing I can come up with is there's almost like this weird underlying message of men and women are the downfall of each other. That marriage is the downfall of all people in some weird way.
Well, that's a little bit too deep.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can come up with. Because otherwise, all this shit, the way they've just piled one piece of storyline on top of another, but none of them actually connecting, they're just piled up on top of each other. Tell me why. I can't come up. I don't understand why they had to be connected like that, to where when he gets stabbed, she feels it. Like this Corsican Brothers situation. I don't understand.
Well, I think it's...
I'd rather watch the Corsican Brothers, by the way.
I think it symbolizes the connection that you have with your significant other, that you feel their pain, you know? I
guess.
I mean, we all know we don't physically feel the pain.
Yes.
We put on baby weight whenever someone's pregnant.
Is that what we're calling that, baby weight?
Yeah. Exactly. It's all baby weight.
Yeah.
We had like 4 or 5 kids, you know. It's really, really bad.
I'm calling them subs, but okay.
Damn you, Publix.
Just saying.
But yeah, that's the way I took it. It's like it's the closer that the pair becomes, the weaker they get because of the love they have for each other. But we don't know that because it's not explained very well.
Well, and see, this is what solidifies the whole feeling versus proximity aspect, is because when they start feeling for each other, that's when actual pain starts to happen. And that's when or I guess mortality starts to happen.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because when they were fighting against each other, Hancock thought that she was just an evil person. So it's like, I don't understand why you're doing this. You're evil. I need to stop you.
Yeah, but
because I don't have any love for you. And then,
but he was still able to get injured. That's what's weird.
I don't know.
I don't either. That's what I'm saying. I don't either. Like, it's just weird that he was able to get injured. Like, I'm with you on maybe it's emotionally based for her. Like, the more she starts to care about Hancock, she starts to get hurt. But he was already being hurt prior. Like, he literally is like, who are you to me? And she's pointing out bruises and shit on him. So he's already getting injured, but he doesn't even know who the fuck she is. He has no feelings to her. As far as he's concerned, this is his buddy's wife. He has no interest in her. And then once he finds out that they were together is whenever he back at the trailer with the Jiffy Pop popping everywhere. That's when he starts to catch feelings. So I mean,
and I thought that's when all the physical stuff started happening.
No, it was before that. But I get where you're coming from, but I still think it's weird to me that's
because he didn't get shot in the convenience store.
Yeah.
Before that interaction at the trailer.
No, it was after.
But
it was after.
Before she throws him through the wall of the house, he has a bruise on his hand.
Right.
So he wouldn't have a bruise on his hand if it was strictly emotional.
See, now there was something
he doesn't have any feels for her.
Yeah. You know what would have made this simple is one of two things. Like at the end, whenever he's doing the jump away to try and save her life, is instead of trying to jump away and save her life, which to me says it's a proximity thing. If he had just been standing in the hospital and just looked at his buddy Ray is his name, and just looked at him and been like, Ray, I really care about her, but she's definitely yours now. And then Charlize Theron like and comes back to life. Then it's like there's no question. Like he's cutting ties emotionally.
Then you would be bitching that it's a cop out.
No, but I mean it's fucking weird to me because it's like you're telling me it's not proximity based. Meanwhile, he's doing like old school Superman leaps, trying to get away, trying to leap tall buildings in a single bound, trying to get away from her.
He's distancing himself emotionally.
Again, I think that could have been better.
But it's shown as a physical distance to basically not have dialogue associated with it.
Yeah, I'm kind of split between both of you guys because definitely at the end he does distance himself emotionally because he basically just I was gonna say hand her over to Ray, but they're already married. But he basically says, okay, you two are good together.
Yeah,
obviously we can't
be together.
Cohabitate. Yeah. So because we see he calls Ray on the phone,
right,
and he says, hey, look up, and then there's the heart logo on the moon or whatever.
Yeah,
and then credits.
Peace and love.
Well, no, but credits on an important thing, though, too. The proximity thing, supported again, he's moved to New York. He's no longer even in L.A. any longer.
Oh, was he in New York?
That was New York. You see the Chrysler Building, and you can see the Empire
yeah.
State Building. So
I
yeah,
didn't even catch up.
He's fully gone from the West Coast. He's now an East Coast superhero.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know. Because he needed to distance himself. What better yet to put yourself across the country? Because, you know, not a whole lot of long distance relationships work out.
It's a tie.
True.
it's an emotional distance thing.
No, it's literally trying to argue a movie that
doesn't make
sense in the first place. Yeah, I mean,
it's a popcorn summer popcorn
and
movie.
that is exactly what it is. You cannot look at this film as something that explains everything and all the science works out and all the emotional and physical aspects of powers and all that kind of stuff. It's a fantasy. It's supposed to allow yourself to escape from reality for just a couple hours and not really look too deep into, you know what, in real life, marriage means something else. Yeah. I don't think they were really married. But
I'm going to say this, though. Even in movies that do that, if you really want me to be able to escape, make a movie that makes sense.
Well, but you know what?
Stop looking into the personal things on things. I don't know.
We're critics. That's what we do.
I know, but
we have to criticize the movie, or we have no show, gentlemen.
I totally understand that, but it's just this movie is just that. It's not meant to be looked into on the characters' mindsets. And all that kind
fully
of stuff.
expect them not to have had anybody look into this, else they would have made sure that these loose ends would have been tied up. Well, they weren't expecting anyone to think about this ever.
You know, I actually forgot about this. The original script had a different title, too.
Jesus Christ. Was it Supercock?
No, close. It's called Tonight He Comes.
Oh, wow.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
Oh, my God.
Okay, be honest. This was a porn, and it's been floated around for years, and Will Smith grabbed it up and went, let's make a real movie out of this.
No, I'm just saying. Now, I do have a list of actors who were also considered for the role of Hancock.
Okay, Mel Gibson.
Oh, God.
George Clooney was up there.
God, he was already awful as Batman. Let's not let him ruin
Randy
this, too.
Quaid.
Oh, God.
Oh, Jesus.
Ben Affleck was up there.
Nope, another guy who already ruined Batman. We don't need another guy like him.
But both were Batman, and they were bad Batman.
Yeah.
Yep.
Remember what year this was, too.
Val
This was
Kilmer.
2008, right? 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
So you got to think of these people back then, right?
Chris O'Donnell. No.
Well, at this point, Ben Affleck had been... What other superhero was he?
Oh, no, none by this point.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
I
would
think
have
his
just been
first
in
one was
Mallrats, and
Batman.
Daredevil would have been like 2004.
Daredevil.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right, Daredevil. Yeah.
I think that's like 2004, though. This would have been after
Well,
Hancock.
yeah. So Hancock's 2008.
Oh, then never mind. It would have been before
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So he already ruined Daredevil. Don't let him ruin this, too, yeah.
So another person was Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Stole it. No, not a good one.
Another one, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, he
Ew.
might be hunting down that Oscar, but no.
That would have been great.
That would have been awful.
That would have been awesome.
Poor Leo. That would have been terrible.
He said sarcastically.
Yeah. So, and then there was one more who was actually the top of their list.
Christopher Walken.
No.
No.
But that would have been great.
Yeah, right.
That would have been awesome.
Liam Neeson.
Pissed off Christopher Walken.
Dave Chappelle.
Okay, so Dave Chappelle should have done the original script.
I think Dave Chappelle as a Chew, being Hancock.
Yeah.
No, man, that's my name.
Did
Yeah.
you say, hey, Blinken? Well, you also got to remember, 2008, Dave Chappelle was hot,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
at that point,
Yeah.
doing the Chappelle show, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I could see them wanting, star appeal,
Mm-hmm.
basically, to get Dave Chappelle to do it.
I don't see Dave Chappelle being I mean, he is now. Like now he's dark. And
Right.
he's kind of embraced this like sort of seedy,
kind of bad guy
take on
kinda.
himself. Yeah, but I don't think in '08. I mean, I'm thinking like Half Baked. Like I can't imagine Dave Chappelle being like, yeah, I'm gonna take your head and shove it up your ass. Like I don't.
Yeah.
That would
I
have
just
been.
don't see that.
That whole movie would have been a Dave Chappelle show skit.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
mean.
you're right.
Maybe that, but you know what? Maybe
Maybe
that would have
that's what
been
they were
better.
going for.
Maybe it would have been better.
Could've
Maybe
been.
maybe they would have embraced the comedy a little bit. Been like, guys, fuck the script. Let's just make this funny.
I just think Kurt Russell needs to be everything and play it as Snake.
That,
You know?
Snake
that would be
Plissken.
awesome.
They have Snake Plissken. They call me Hancock. You know, just stuff like that.
Kurt Russell is Snake Plissken is Hancock. Like that would be great too.
Hancock was called asshole 18 times.
Really?
Yeah, in a PG-13 movie.
Asshole.
Asshole.
Yeah.
The petit asshole.
Oh god.
That did make me laugh. Getting chuckled. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
So there is rumors for a Hancock 2, so you can rejoice, Eddie.
What?
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's been 13 years since this movie came out. Are we gonna Avatar this? Is it gonna be 3.5 hours long
I mean,
too?
it's basically been in development hell.
Yeah.
Well-
Since about 2010ish.
Well, I mean, it took 10 years for it to get
Yeah,
picked
exactly.
up, so
Yeah.
maybe
So-
20 for the sequel.
Jesus.
There were talks about sequels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about budget for this one.
Yeah.
Right? So the budget for this one was $150 million.
Damn.
Estimated,
And
right?
Will Smith was 120 million of that.
No,
Close.
he probably got 30. I'm guessing 30 million.
150.
So, just to let you know, this came out July 6th, 2008,
Yeah.
with an opening weekend of $62,600,000. This was a very hot movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually,
Actually,
Will
watched
Smith
this-
vehicle.
I watched this in the theaters. I was
Nice.
part of that.
So you're
incredible
part of
box
this
office.
of
Yeah.
this opening weekend.
Yep.
So now the gross worldwide. Do you think it made its money back?
I think so.
Yes.
I mean, especially if it had an opening weekend of 62.
Yeah,
I think it did, but really close.
really close to
Yeah.
150.
Yeah.
It actually made $629 million.
Whatever.
Holy cow.
So
it's
you
a
can-
success
you
in
can
the eyes
kind
of
of
financial
understand-
bean counters.
Yeah, you can kind of understand why they're kind of wanting a sequel.
Yeah.
But to say that it's like you said, Eddie, it's been 13 years.
And since then, Will Smith's done After Earth.
Yeah. So
And
I mean, the time
Suicide
came and went.
Squad and
That's
Gemini
what it's
Man.
called, right? After Earth. Isn't
Yeah.
that what it's called? The movie with his son where they're like emotionless
Yeah.
for 2
After
hours.
Earth, yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. Okay. Another horrible
So
movie.
yeah, I was quite impressed with the number that I read.
So Rotten Tomatoes, the audience gave it a score of 59%, while the critics gave it 41%
Okay,
out of 227 reviews
on the critic side,
on the critics side. Yeah.
nice.
So, does anyone want to start us off with our rating? Eddie, you love the movie. You want to start?
Not especially. I mean, can I go like second or last?
All right. I'll go.
I'll
John,
let
do it?
John go.
I'll
John,
go.
I appreciate it.
Okay, so as I said before, it wasn't as bad as I remembered it, being forced to watch it all the way through past the bringing Jason Bateman home. I didn't even know that Charlize Theron was in the film. that's how far I got into it, right? To me, it is a redemption story with superpowers thrown in as a twist. And as we've discussed, it's kind of poorly done that way. I do like that the closer the pair get, the weaker they become, whether that be emotionally or physically or distance, whichever. Right?
Right.
I do like that the thing you love makes you weaker, both emotionally and physically. I think that's a good story to tell. Symbolizes the lengths that you would go to for your loved ones. However, I do say that keeping their origins a mystery is a missed opportunity and one they really should have explored. Taking that into account and everything we said today, I'm giving Hancock a 5.5.
Okay, so John gives it a 5.5. Yeah, I mean, it was entertaining. I laughed a couple times. I think Jason Bateman did an okay job. I mean, the problem is he's being Jason Bateman.
Yep.
Right? It's every role that he's in, he kind of has that same thing, the same Jason Bateman role. I thought Will Smith did fine. I thought he could have totally played it differently. He could have gone over the top with some of the depression stuff and all, and I'm glad he didn't. He kind of played it kind of level, I think. I didn't like some of the dialogue. I absolutely hated the camera work at the beginning. I think it's just like a popcorn summer flick kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna give it like an average score of 5 even.
Okay.
Okay,
Eddie?
so for me, I don't blame Will Smith and I don't blame Jason Bateman because I think both of them are decent actors in their own right. I will say that Will Smith to me is a better actor. I think that this movie had just I'm glad to hear there was another script, because to me, if this was the only script, then I would question who the fuck is writing it, right? At least knowing that, a bunch of people got together, a committee was probably called in, and they just sliced and diced this bitch to hell and back, and what came out was Charlize Theron apparently throwing tornadoes at Will Smith, in the middle of Hollywood. Fine, that's just what came out. But I didn't think a movie would make me appreciate like Wild Wild West and Men in Black 3. I didn't think a movie could do that, but okay. I do feel bad for Will Smith, because I'm just thinking about some of his better dramatic things like 7 Pounds and Pursuit of Happiness, where you're saying that he didn't delve into that character. You're kind of glad he didn't. I'm sort of unhappy that he didn't. I wish that he had gotten to that darker
No,
play.
I was saying I'm glad he didn't play it over the top.
Well, see, I kind of wanted him to not necessarily over the top, but really delve into that depression. I wanted to see like I said, those scenes in the prison when he starts to open up, we see him, he's got the wall up, he starts to open up, right? The basketball goes over the fence. He contemplates, do I just say fuck it all and go? No, that's going to mess with Ray. Possibly it's going to make things harder for me. You know what? Let me just go back. I liked seeing those little shreds. I wish they had gone down that road further. That's all I'm saying. For me, up until an hour, the movie is at least, I don't want to say palatable, but at least it's edible up until an hour. After an hour, I would spit it out immediately. So for me, this is a 2.
Wow.
Okay. A 2.2 for Eddie. Kyle?
I really enjoyed the movie. I think that's what everybody's saying on this, is basically when Charlize Theron's character is, actually more involved in the plot line. That's when it starts to crumble down. I really enjoyed the comedy in this. I really enjoyed the coming of age of a superhero aspect of all of this. He had the powers, he was saving people, but he just didn't really care about anybody else or the property or whatever. He's like, hey, I caught the bad guy. What else do you want me to do? Yeah. Whatever.
It's the end result that matters.
Yeah. It's like, I got the bad guy. Cool. You should be happy. But there are rules.
Good job.
Yeah, there are rules to be a superhero. You're supposed to be a good working member of society, not a destroyer of buildings. But I mean, I had a good time watching this. I guess overall, I'm going to say it's probably going to be a 5.7 for me.
Okay, a 5.7 for Kyle. So that means that Hancock gets a 4.6 as a Screen Riot score. So thank you again, Brian C., for that commission. I'm sure you made Eddie's day. Again, if anybody else wants to punish Eddie, I'm all for it.
Oh, hell yeah.
So commission more terrible movies.
You can commission some good ones too.
Yeah, you can commission some good ones.
We won't scoff at those either.
Can we please request that we commission decent ones?
Yeah, sure.
Well, what's decent to somebody is not decent to everybody.
Exactly. Yeah,
so.
Everybody has their own taste.
That's a good point.
So again, thank you again, Brian C. If you'd like to commission your own movie for us to review, go to screenriot.net, click on support, and you can find all the information of how to submit. And with that, thanks for listening.
All right. See you guys.
See you
later.